I just got a text from Roger Goodell. KD, we are removing Week 2 from the NFL schedule due to the assault charges levied against the Cowboys on behalf of their fans' eyeballs. This is KD Drummond of bloggingtheboys.com, and I'm here to bring to you the top 5 things that the Dallas Cowboys are going to have to do to move on past Seattle and forward to a victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 1, short-term memory. The Cowboys should have employed this the same way they did when they were playing the New York Giants and forgot about the whole offseason of questions and went out there and looked like they were ready to compete for a Super Bowl champion. They seemed to carry that over into Seattle, and they just weren't ready for the buzzsaw that was the Seattle Seahawks. And how strange is that to actually have to say that? But their defense was buzzing, make no mistake about it. The Cowboys had their own mistakes, but regardless of all of that, they just need to do one thing: forget about it. Number 2 is that we need to get a special delivery. And by that I mean we have to get some help from our return units. We know Felix Jones fumbled, we know Des Bryant fumbled and recovered his on a punt, but we're getting nothing as far as return yardage, and we have to have that. Dallas has the worst starting field position of any of the NFL teams. Their scoring drives are the longest of any NFL teams, and they have to do something in order to flip the field position and give their offense a chance. You can't expect an offense to go 79 yards on each and every drive in order to get a touchdown. You have to do something. Now, one thing that was left to be desired is that Tyron Smith, our second-year pro, number 9 draft pick last year in the first round, he hasn't really acclimated himself to the left side yet. And it's been pretty horrible to watch what's happened in the last 2 games. He has penalties. He's not doing good in pass protection. Tony Romo is running for his life. He's not opening up running lanes. It's a bad offensive line, but right now he's actually one of the worst culprits. So, I will give him this. He has faced 2 of the best in the league in JPP of the New York Giants, Chris Clemons of the Seattle Seahawks. He's not even facing anything remotely close to that this week in Tampa Bay's Adrian Claiborne, who's only mustered 2 quarterback pressures in his first 2 games. And I'm not even talking about sacks. I'm just talking about 2 hurries in 2 games. So as being their primary pass rusher, that's actually Michael Bennett, Martellus Bennett's brother, cousin, whatever, third cousin twice removed on his mother's side, whatever. He's actually creating pressure on the opposite side, so it's going to be Doug Free's problem this week. But for the most part, you should be able to see the blind side of Tony Romo protected. And that way, when he's dancing, he's actually dancing from a man that's coming to him from his front. Now, Tony Romo has been great against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they've been horrible against the pass. So this should be a marriage made in heaven. They've given up 800 passing yards in the first 2 games. In his last 3 games against Tampa Bay, he has over 130 quarterback rating or passer rating. So you should see fireworks. Get all of your Cowboys offensive players in your fantasy football lineups this week. Number 4 is that you have to make Tampa Bay fold under pressure. And by that I mean the pressure of cornerbacks Brandon Carr and Morris Claiborne, who, despite giving up a high completion percentage, almost 70% on the season, they're really doing a great job of pressing their man at the line of scrimmage and not allowing deep passes to be caught, which is leaps and bounds above anything we've seen in the last couple of years out of this Dallas Cowboys secondary. The problem is, well, before I get to the problem, let me state that Brandon Carr will be facing old AFC West rival Vincent Jackson, who he has done magnificent against. Since 2009, in a matchup of 5 games, on only 5 targets, which means quarterbacks aren't even looking his way whenever he's lined up against Brandon Carr, Carr has only allowed 3 receptions, average under 12 yards, including an interception. So he loves to play big physical receivers where he can get in there and fight at the line of scrimmage. That's his thing. Expect that to continue. The problem is that Dallas is now weak at safety, with Gerald Sensabaugh seeming to be out. He didn't practice again today, and Barry Church a little bit hobbled. Dallas could be looking at lining up Dana McCray and Barry Church, 2 undrafted free agents from the 2010 class, as their starting safeties. Mike Jenkins has returned, and he might even see some safety time, which is funny considering that we've always thought that Orlando Scandrick would be the cornerback that converted to safety, but it looks like it's going to be Jenkins as far as some spot duty, seeing that Mana Silva looked a little bit lost out there when he got some snaps against Seattle as well. Did I say pressure? I meant pressure, and this time I'm talking about the Cowboys harassing the opposing quarterback. Now, it's only been 2 games, but Dallas only has 5 sacks and only 30 total quarterback pressures, sacks, hits, plus hurries. Now, that's unacceptable. I'm a fan of Rob Ryan, but when they're double teaming DeMarcus Ware, you have to be able to develop a scheme that will get either Ware open or have some other pass rushers that can do the job. It's just It's ridiculous to me when I see people complain about DeMarcus Ware and saying, oh, he doesn't get stats when it counts. Well, that's because you can scheme against anybody in the NFL. If you scheme against DeMarcus Ware and nobody else is picking up the slack, you can't say, well, DeMarcus Ware doesn't come through in the clutch. That's not his fault. Rob Ryan and the rest of the Cowboys team needs to overcome that. And I would love to say, hey, Jay Ratliff is going to play, but he's out again. And I would dare anybody to say anymore that we don't need Jay Ratliff. As you can see, the defensive line is not creating the pressure that it needs to without Ratliff in there. So we definitely need to, bring that up and get some pressure on the quarterback. And that's the fifth and final thing that I think is going to be key to the Cowboys securing this victory over Tampa Bay. So, this is KD Drummond of bloggingtheboys.com. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to our channel, SBN Blogging the Boys. Don't forget about SBN NFL as well as SB Nation YouTube channel. Salute.